Dr. Jazz.
Hey guys,
Dr.
Samo here.
Jazz.
Thanks for checking out the channel and its contents. And if you feel like it, please do subscribe. Thanks so much. Enjoy the video. Bye. Man, thanks for finding the time. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for your interest.
You
Yeah.
know, having many records, and I listened to the last one by Sheila Jordan, and whew,
Oh, wow. Oh,
man,
wow.
the touch
Yeah.
of your lips, you starting with those chords, and I was like, oh man, that's beautiful.
Do you play guitar?
Yeah, I'm a guitarist as well, so.
I see. I see. I see.
Yeah, uh, that's why I do so many guitarists as well, but I do other players as well.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Years. But man, I wanted to start this talk by first asking you, like the last one as a band leader I heard by you was Love Letters, and I wanted to ask you if you have been preparing something new as a band leader, or what's happening on that department.
Yes, actually, I just came back from Havana a
Ooh.
week ago. A week ago, yeah. And we were there, and I produced 3 albums over there for the
Oh,
record label at that time. And one is Alejandro Falcon is a wonderful pianist composer. It's his record with different guests. One is Rui Lopez Nusa, is an amazing
oh, sure.
drummer with different guests, and one is mine with them and other people from Cuba, including Osdalia. She's singing 2 songs, and Emir Santa Cruz playing tenor. So yes, and great band, really. You asked that, and just an hour ago I got the MP3s of the rough mixes, and I love it. Yeah, so I'm very excited about this. This will be released next year.
2026.
It's part of a series called Havana Stories. It's a
Oh,
series I produced for that time record, and it will be the 3 albums. One will be in the spring, one will be in the summer, and one will be in the fall. I'm not sure what the order yet.
sure. Yeah. And is it like, I mean, I heard you playing Brazilian music, of course, and standards, like, but is there a big salsa Cuban influence? I mean, I never heard you in that context, actually.
I
So,
know, I know, I know. It's not really salsa. Like we're doing a danzón and cha-cha, cha and guaguancó, it's some kind of rumba, afro, and it's very interesting because it's sort of Cuba of today, the musicians of today doing their things. Some of them play with Buena Vista Social Club, so they
okay.
very familiar with the classic repertoire, but it's very up to date. I also do jazz camps. I create jazz camps. I have one in Vermont that I do in the summer, and I have one in the south of France that I do, and then I start doing ones in Havana. I
Mm,
did 3 of them already, and there's one coming up, 2 sessions coming up in February and March. That's how I met them. That's how I met them. That's how I got exposed to their music, and so I just dived in, and I had a lot of hesitations, because it's such a specific music.
yeah.
But being there a few times before, observing what they're doing, and they knowing me, and I start playing with them when I go there, I'll play on their gigs. So we found a very nice balance, and they love jazz. It's Cuba is interesting because of the isolation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They didn't have the jazz artist be there as much as in Brazil. So in Brazil, you see the influences of jazz in American music from the 20s all the way to today. But in Havana, you see it going to the 50s and stopping, you know,
Interesting. Yeah.
because all the people who came after weren't able to go to Cuba, but they listened to all the records and everything. It was a very good symbiosis. It's not me playing their music and they're playing my music. It's just a very nice, and we became very musical. We found a place to be together.
Beautiful. Did you write originals? I mean, as well, your music?
You know, I wrote some originals, but I didn't play any of my originals. I thought we'll do that, but we did a few songs of Alejandro Falcon. He writes great stuff, and then we did 2 songs, famous boleros, with Osdalia, this wonderful vocalist, and then we did one old bolero just a quartet.
Beautiful. Oh man, looking forward. That's a surprise.
Yeah, me
I
too.
didn't
Me
expect
too.
that, man. Wow.
Yes, I know. That sort of like came up, and I wasn't talking about it much because I wanted to see how it turns out first.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful.
And actually, after Love Letters, I have a live album. It's
Yeah, I
called the
saw that.
Abraxas
Yeah, yeah,
Session.
yeah. The
Yeah.
the
That came
Abraxas
out last
sessions,
year.
right? Yeah.
Abraxas Session, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Not this year or last year? I think this year. I don't
Hmm.
remember.
Oh, okay.
Yes, maybe last year.
You have to. I just have listened to Love Letters. That one I know, but Abraxas I haven't. So I have to check it out. Yeah. Beautiful. But I mentioned Sheila Jordan before, and I wanted to ask you about your story with Sheila because you know, one of the greats, and you know, I've talked with Harvey, did this interview with Harvey like 2 years ago, and obviously, you know, he had such a long-standing relationship with Sheila. And how did you begin to play with her and playing? You know, it's such a beautiful trio, just bass and guitar and vocals. I mean, that's like,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
Of course, I've known of her and admired her for many, many years, you know. And first time I met her personally was through my ex-wife, Amy London. She's a vocalist,
Hmm.
and Sheila did a couple of projects with them, with her group. And you know, Sheila was such a charming, loving person. It was very easy to interact with her, and I hired her to do the jazz camp in Vermont.
Okay.
And it was actually what happened is that it was during the pandemic, and most people were afraid to do it. Sheila says, "Yes, let's go. Come on." So there, the relationship bloomed, you know, because I got to play with her a lot, and we loved each other. I mean, she really loved what I do for her and how personally we interacted. And she's a singer who likes space, you know.
Yeah.
She loves the
Yeah.
space. So a piano is kind of a fuller sound. She went all the way to the minimum of bass, and guitar is just a little more, you know. And I love space too. So I think that's something that was for both of us was a good match, you know.
Mm.
And you know, when she sings, she doesn't try to do anything. She doesn't she doesn't have a vision of like, oh, I should be doing this or that, or I need to. Nothing like that. It's just whatever comes, comes, and I'm grateful for that. And you know, I started my career with Barry Harris,
Yeah, sure.
and
Yeah.
he was the same person. His way of playing was the same, and they actually grew up together. So for me, it was a comfortable place to be in, and the wait time, the idea of like no rush to play a chord, no rush to play a line, you know, as it comes out, that made the relationship, you know, happen in a very quickly and happily, really. We found
Mm.
each other and loved each other.
Yeah. So nice. Yeah. It's so nice to hear you also in that context because it's just guitar and bass basically when she's not singing, and it's like the space. I love the space. Yeah. Amazing. You mentioned Barry Harris, and like, how did you meet Barry? I know you know that record Backyard, which is a beautiful record, by the way.
Thank
Uh,
you.
but what's your story with Barry? I mean, when did you first meet him and actually start to
So I
play?
came to New York to study with him. I came
Ah,
to New York in 1985 to study
okay.
with him. I was in Tel Aviv at that time and trying to get my stuff together, and I knew I had to come to the United States, and that's where it's at. And at that time, you know, Berkeley was the destination, you know, and I was trying to figure out how to make it work because it's expensive. And it just so happened a musician that used to live in America for 15 years, but is from Israel, came back, a bass player named Emil Ram. And he told me about Barry Harris's school. It's called the Jazz Culture Theater. And he said, no, don't go to Berkeley, just go there. And it felt right, you know. And he showed me some of the things that Barry was teaching.
Mm.
So I, you know, saved what little money I could and came to New York. And his school, the Jazz Culture Theater, was sort of a club. It was a storefront on 8th Avenue and 28th Street. And it functioned as a school. And then on the weekend, they'll have shows.
Mm.
During the
Wow.
week, they'll have jam sessions late at night. But the classes will go into the wee hours of the morning. We will be there until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know. And it was a very casual as far as joining in. You just come and you pay for the class and you stay the whole time. So I went the first time, and there was an improv class, and then after that there was the vocal class, and after that there was a jam session. So I went to the early improv class because I just came to New York and I was afraid on the subway what it's going to be, you know, so I didn't want to stay late. So I went to the class from 5 to 7. When I finished, he said, "Guitar players, stay." He asked me to stay and play with the vocalist, and I never left. You know. Stayed, and I just kept coming back, and we developed a wonderful relationship. And when he closed the school, we used to go to his house, which is the house of Pananica, the Königswater, the famous baronet, the house where Monk lived, the pianos they had, and we would just hang out and talk music. He would show us some stuff, and then he started hiring me for his in his group, and that was wonderful.
Mm. How was it like when you came to New York? I mean, New York in the 80s was still, it was quite wild still back then. And how was that
Yes,
experience like for you? I mean,
I loved it. It was, I would say that it was like anarchy with order. Whatever you want, do your thing. Just try not to hurt anybody. You know, be cool, and so it felt very free. You know, it felt people could do what they want to do, and it was much more affordable. You know.
yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of people, you know, a lot of musicians living in town. Then eventually, I mean, your generation, they start going to Brooklyn, you know, because New York became too expensive. It was, you know, it was, then the crack epidemic started,
Oh,
like
shit, yeah.
later in the 80s. And it was tense, you know, you had to be on your guard all the time. And it was a bad period where if you leave something in the car, even a book, they break into your car. But I didn't have a car, you know, and so you just have to navigate, but it was very alive. New York is always very alive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But at that time, there were many more musicians from the golden ages.
The elders were still alive, yeah. Yeah.
Still alive. They were young. I mean, when I met Barry, he was in his 50s.
Wow.
You know, yeah, a lot of people were around, so you get to see them. You know, the Village Vanguard would cost $5. And you'd go hear Mel Jackson. I remember going to hear Kenny Burrell. And on the second set, I went for both sets, of course. I mean, I transcribed so much of his stuff. And the second set, I was sitting right in the front row, and I was the only person in the audience. And the whole set, he would play the song, and he would talk to me, introduce the song to me.
What? That's
Yes,
insane.
like that. And then if you didn't have money, they would leave the door open, so you could sit on the stairwell and watch the music. And that was how people underage could watch the music. Sort of like the peanut gallery. You know that term, peanut gallery?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
That's from Birdland. So at Birdland, there was an area, they call it the peanut gallery, and you can get a Coke and peanuts. Underage kids could be there to hear Charlie Parker.
Amazing. Yeah, yeah.
And Bradley was open, and Bradley was no
Bradley's,
cover.
yeah.
And then later it started like charging $5. And you go there till 2, 3 in the morning, and the place is hopping with lots of musicians, lots of stuff going on. I see Sweet Basil there. You have Sweet
Yeah, I
Basil?
love that. I went there like in '97 or something. Yeah.
Right, Sweet Basil was happening. Gil Evans Orchestra every Monday night was there.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, New York is still very alive. New York is, I mean, I've been to many cities in the world. There's nothing compared to New York in terms of how much energy
Yeah, yeah.
and how much activity there is in New York, you know. So it's a great city. I love being in New York. At that time, I'm just glad I was there to be, to play, to experience with those generations that kind of passed, you know.
Yeah.
Sheila is one of them. She sort of passed on.
Absolutely. Yeah. How were I mean, I have that CD that you did with Walter Booker, I think, and I know you played with Clark Terry and some others. How did you connect with all these elders and got the chance to play with them? Was it through Barry, everything, or like did you then slowly?
Barry was the first thread, yes. Barry was the first thread, and then I started playing with a great piano player named Chris Anderson. Barry looked always spoke of him as the best piano player in the world. Very impressionistic, not a bopper, very beautiful. And through him, I met Walter Bookie, you know. And through Bookie, I met other people. It was like that, you know. And I wanted to play that music with these people. I sort of kind of like made it a goal for myself to be surrounded with those people. And I started recording with these people, playing with those people. And I remember, like, this was maybe in the 90s, and somebody connected me with a manager to see if she would like to take me on. And you know, her response was like, "Why are you playing with the oldest people in jazz? Why don't you play with the younger people?" You know, and I said, "Okay, thank you." Click. I wanted to experience that. You know what I mean? I knew that this is not going to be here forever, and there's something special about the music coming from them. You know, it had a different purpose, had a different. The way they came about it was different. It was not schooled. You know, I remember speaking to Down Bird one time, and he was saying how in those days everybody had to sound different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had to look different. If you wear a hat, your hat had to be different. You had to put it a certain way that nobody does. If you had a belt, your buckle had to be like nobody saw you. So if you play, you had to be different. You know, and that drive of like, it's not like this is correct, this is incorrect, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, did not exist, you know? It was just, are you swinging? Are you sounding good? You have the blues? It's great, you know? And I think that's such an important part of jazz that I experienced from them, you know?
Yeah,
The ear was not listening to how much you know or how much you learn, but can you tell a good story, you know, and make it
absolutely.
your own, you know?
Were they, you know, I've heard many stories about the older generation that they were really, I mean, that was like the university for you young guys when you came. Like, were they really tough, like towards you, let's say? Because, you know, I've heard many stories of, I don't know, Horace Silver or Freddie Hubbard or whoever who were like, oh shit, you better know your shit or get out of here. I mean, how was your experience like with them?
No, it's definitely personality by personality.
Mm,
Different people have different personalities, you know, how they express it. But there was a sense of the music was sacred, you know. You had to have a lot of respect for the music.
mm,
And if you're going to come on the bandstand and play, you better bring something that shows that you have that respect for this music. Don't fool around. Don't, you know, do it just because you like to, you know. And I think that was the main point that everybody was saying. Okay, if you want to come, you can come, but do something that shows that you are able to do this, not because you just want to be there with me, you know.
yeah,
Uh, so different people reacted differently to that, you know. But that was the core message. But also, if you were young and they saw that you have the intention and the will and the want and the desire and the respect and you admire the music and it really means a lot to you, they will help you, you know.
yeah.
They will help you, they will teach you, they will show you. It was before schools, you know. My friend Richard Wines, the great piano player who
Sure.
passed away, and he's from San Francisco. And this is in the 50s. Before he came to New York, he played for 2 weeks on the breaks of Art Tatum. It was Art Tatum gig, and on the break, he would be the pianist. He was like 21, 22. And Art Tatum told him, come early every day. And he gave him lesson. Every day, Richard would come and he would sit with Art Tatum. Imagine Art Tatum every day for 2 weeks, and he would show him stuff. And then he got to hear him for the whole night and play on the set. There was that kind of support, you know. Oh, you
Camaraderie. Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. They watch out for each other. They watch out for you, you know. And also, I think that there was not a lot of money in the business. You know, nobody was like, I'm a rich guy and I'm a big shot and, you know, my billboard has my name. There wasn't that kind of attitude, you know. It
Mm,
was, we are all in it together. And of course, the history of America, which is coming back to the surface now again, made them stick together and watch
yeah,
out for each other because they were all at risk, you know. Once they leave the club, they all were, with the risk to their lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned Kenny Burrell before, and I'm a huge Grant Green fan, and I hear so much Grant Green in your playing. I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken, but I wanted to ask you, who were the reasons or the people that you started? I mean, what got you into jazz, actually? I'll put it like that. What got you like, shit, I want to play jazz guitar?
Well, truly the first person that I heard play jazz guitar, and I said, "Oh wow, what a beautiful tone and concept," was a guy from Israel named Karl Abramovich. Was a beautiful player. He didn't really make a name for himself. He was the best guitar player those days over there. And he came out of West Montgomery. But he had an alcoholism problem. And I heard him on TV one time, and I said, "Wow, I love this." And the week before, somebody gave me his number. The week before, a friend that takes lessons from him told me about him, gave me his number, and then this guy's on TV. And I never watched TV, and I happened to pass by TV at a friend, and there he was, and he was rarely on TV. So I think this, like, the stars all aligned. And so he's the one that I heard. I said, "Wow, I love that." And he turned me on to Wes. So Wes was the first person, so wow.
Yeah,
And
sure.
at that time, this is early 80s, Joe Pass was the biggest name with Pablo Records and Oscar Peterson. And Joe is such a great player. But I always loved the more Grand Green kind of thing. And this guy that I told you about who told me about Barry, he turned me on to Grand Green. Because you
Okay.
weren't able to get Grand Green records in Israel at that time. You get Joe Pass because of Oscar Peterson, and you get West because he's the classic. But Kenny Burrell, a friend gave me an album of Kenny Burrell, live at the Village Vanguard with Roy Henson, Richard Davis, from, I don't know what year, 57 or
Sure.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And that was my first introduction to Kenny Burrell. I said, wow. And then this guy, Emil, turned me on to Grand Green. Grand Green with Larry Young, Grand Green with Joe Anderson, and I was like,
I love those. Yeah.
yes. It's almost like, an extension of Lester Young. It's sort of like very accessible, very musical, very melodic, And Bird did that too. I mean, I'm a big admirer of Bird.
Mm.
Bird did that in like such a wild way. So many other things to it. So many people start copying Bird, but they forgot that he always played melodies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That technique stuff, it's a turnoff. And that was another thing that was very important for a young musician in interacting with these older musicians is they played their solo. Art was right there. You could see, you could hear how great this music is. And then it's your turn. What are you going to do? So if you do your silly things you practice on all those runs and all, you sound silly. I mean, it's like it's in contrast to this beautiful story that they were telling, you sound like, okay, this guy is still practicing. But after all of that, if you just play one note that means a lot, everybody will say, wow,
Yeah.
And that was a big lesson, a big lesson to learn that it's not about playing correct stuff, playing information, but finding a way to tell a story with whatever you have, because after they told their stories, you have to say something, you know what I mean? Even if it's short, even if it's simple, you have to say something. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
sound like,
Yeah, I hear that, but with your playing, you never tend to overplay, in a sense. Like,
say that. Thank you for saying that.
I mean, there's no ego. I don't feel an ego. I'll put it like that. It's like, it's not that like you have to show like like the fastest lines. It's always like really, like what you said now. I mean, I really like that. That's a hard task
When
to
we play
accomplish,
with
actually.
Barry, we would play with him, he was comp. And if you start playing like this, he'll just go like, he wouldn't say nothing, he would just go like, and you said, oh shit, stop, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about, the experience. You right away, it says like, what are you doing? What is all this stuff that you're playing? What does it mean, So you have to dig deeper. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody has a story to tell through music. Not everybody wants to to expose their emotion to the music, you know. But if you do, they showed you how to do it, you know, by example.
Yeah. It's
So the ego
yeah.
and technique, also with the ego, you know, the playing with people like that, you always felt that there was room for you. You know what I mean? If you
Mm-hmm.
have a chord to play, if you have a melody to play, in the middle of everything, there was room for you. Nobody pushed you out. You know what I mean? So that made you always feel, okay, I'm welcomed here. I don't have to push my way in. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to show off. You know, I have something to say. Please say it. You know, and I think that was another wonderful experience that helps keep the ego down. You know.
Yeah. It's funny. Like the other day, I did an interview with Joshua Breakstone. You probably know him,
Sure.
who
Yeah.
actually played so much also with Barry, and
Hmm.
we were talking about the same things, like how, not to overplay this.
Yeah.
That's
I
such a.
played with Josh a couple of months ago at Smalls.
Oh, really? Oh man. Okay. Yeah, he's in Japan now. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Great
Yeah.
player.
Oh, an amazing player. Yeah. No, it's hard for us as guitarists because we tend to overplay, right? I mean, it's very easy that slowly we go into licks or pentatonics or whatever, and
Yes. Yes.
it's
Also, we don't have to breathe. Our fingers don't have to breathe, and that's a good thing to take a breath.
yes,
You know, pay
yeah,
attention to your breathing. It's very important. You know, and
yeah,
and you know the biggest concept is let things happen. This a way for you to say, okay, here I am. Let's go, and it's not in my control.
yeah.
You know, it's in the music. That's the hard part. That's the hard hump to get over. You know,
It is. Yeah.
Bird said that. Charlie Parker said, "Learn really well. But when you play, forget everything you learn." Which means it's not like erase it from your memory, but that should not be on your mind. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
shouldn't be on your mind that this run goes good with this chord, that this scale goes good with this chord. What should be on your mind is music. You know, and that's the
Listening.
hard part to get into. You know.
Yeah.
Also, with jazz, in all all fairness, it's hard to make a living, you know, and so if you show off, if you show people that you have a lot of chops, if you can create this fake excitement, you might work more, you know. So some people do that because they need to work more, you know. So
Yeah.
it takes this kind of discipline of saying, I'll do my thing, whatever comes of it comes of it, but I'll do my thing, you know.
Mm.
Like Sonny Rollins over there in the back.
Yeah. Or I can always listen to Nat King Cole, and when I hear Oscar Moore soloing, I'm like, damn, that's like, you know, you don't get bored or with
No?
this, and with the overplaying, you can easily get bored. There are many records when you're like after two tunes, it's like, okay, you're
Right.
fast, it's amazing, but like
Yeah, yeah.
next, you know.
I mean, some people say say beautiful things with a lot of notes, like
Sure.
Bird used to be able
Oh,
to do,
sure, yeah,
but with always the story, you know.
yeah.
And, you know, I was listening to Eric Dolphy yesterday with Blues in the Abstract Truth, you know, and Eric Dolphy is so amazing. I mean, this guy is like,
Such a fan. Yeah.
what are you playing, you know? And that comes to the concept like you had to be different, you know. But with all his stuff, he doesn't sound like he's practicing. He doesn't sound like this is a good run. It sounds like a story, a
Mm,
quirky one, you know, an interesting one, but a story, you know.
yeah. Even Ornette, Ornette
Oh,
is so melodic, especially the
definitely.
quartet with Billy Higgins and Hayden, and that's like,
Yes,
it's all
yes,
melodies, even though like it's not,
100%.
yeah, very
Yes,
interesting.
100%, you know.
Ronnie, how did you become a band leader? I wanted to ask you about that. And I mean, since the mid 90s when you started to doing records on your own, how was that like for you becoming a band leader? I mean, since then you've done so much work, but like in the beginning,
Well, it's not that I started a band and the Roni Ben-Hur band is playing and that's all I do, you know what I mean? So it's not like I dedicate myself to just be a band leader, you know. And sometimes it comes out of circumstances, like people ask you to put a group together or projects together, you know, so you have to put it together and become the band leader. You know, it's a responsibility. It's a nice experience, even if it's not on a professional level. Even for students,
Mm.
I think it's a very good experience to say, okay, I'm going to put something together and hire people to play this music, and I have to think about it from the beginning to the end. It's not like I just come in to play my chorus and I'm done. You are involved in the whole process, the repertoire, the order, who's going to solo what. So that is a very good experience to have. It's a very good process to be involved in, and I like it. I like it. Uh, but I'm not dedicated to just being a band leader. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm happy to play with other people. And if the music is good, I'm happy to play with anybody.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
but I'm glad that I don't have to play just to make a living. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy that I can have enough stuff going on that I can, even if it's my gig or somebody else's gig, I'm still playing what I want to play. The
That's so
music that,
important.
yeah.
Yeah. What about you as a composer? When did you start composing? I mean, I know you've written a lot of music on your records and beautiful melodies, like the one on Love Letters that Seoul Paris or the
À la
second,
Paris.
such yeah, such a beautiful melody. Like, what's your process in writing? I mean, how does that
It's a,
usually?
it's a, it's. I don't, I'm not a trained composer like, and some people do that, and it's something maybe I will do at some point. They get up every day and write a song.
Yep.
And out of those 360 songs,. Maybe two are good.
Yep.
But you get up and you are dedicated to that. For me, it's just like a song comes to my mind. A song comes and I write it and I finish it. Sometimes I let it go. And I was hanging out with my friend Rufus Reed the other day, and he was telling me, because he really got into composing, and he said, sometimes if you just hear 2 bars, 4 bars, record them, write
Yep.
them out. And like the next day, I was coming from a gig or something, and I heard this melody, and I almost let it go, and then I remember what he said, and then a tune came, a tune I really liked. So I don't have a disciplined process about it. It's when it comes, I accept it. But it's if somebody wants to write to be a composer or to compose a lot, it's something that you do need to do every day,
Mm.
because that's sort of like a creativity that also needs practice. I know some people have no choice, like stuff just keeps coming to them. I mean, some composers, they just keep hearing things. But I think that if you're not somebody like that, you can awaken it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
If you practice on it, if you stay connected to that creative part of your brain, it will start to come out.
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you practice nowadays still? When you practice, like, what are you working on now? I mean, beside the Cuban music. What
Yeah, well, you mentioned the Cuban music, but I practice repertoire for things that I have to do, things that I have to work on, and I also work on facilities, some
Mm.
things that to keep me in shape. And if I don't have time to practice much, I'll do what keeps me in shape.
Yeah.
But I also practice playing, to just play a song. Somebody was telling me that Dizzy said how Thelonious Monk used to play the same song for the whole day in
Well,
tempo. And a lot of times there's a ballad, you know, just to play it again and again and again. That's a very important part of the practice because it connects you with that creativity things of the spontaneity of melodies coming to your head. So I try to do that too. And I practiced a little ear training, a little
mm, okay.
reading. I used to practice rhythm a lot. You know, earlier I used to practice rhythm a lot. Everything with challenging metronome things and tapping my foot and playing the melodies. And that's very, very important.
It is, of course.
I think that you know we tend to like to practice information, scales, facilities, because it's right there for us and we could do it. And also we grow up learning to that way, memorizing and but the two columns that music stands on. This music is rhythm and ear.
Yeah.
Your ear and your rhythm are the two things that everything sits on. And many people forget to practice that, you know. And for me, that's very important. So I used to practice rhythm a lot. Now my rhythm is good. I don't have to do that, you know. But because I practice that, I could sit on a drum set and play. You know, I can play drums because my limbs are independent from all the practice, and also my beat stays. And that's the thing about practicing the rhythm, where you, even if you make a mistake, the pulse doesn't change because there's a
Yeah.
part of you that keeps it no matter what, you know. And that's a big freedom. Talk about Cuban music, you know, the rhythm is a whole other thing. It's very complex, you know. And when you hear their phrasing, sometimes you think the way they phrase a thing, the first note sounds like the one, and it's actually the four, you know. So what keeps me, what saves me is that I can keep the time. I can know where I am. Because the drummer and the conguero and all the people, they do, ooh, all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff in the middle. And if you listen to it without knowing where the one was, you say, where is it, you know? So
Very,
keeping that in a pulse was very helpful.
very interesting. Uh, Speaking of I mean, new records are coming out. Like, what's for the upcoming weeks, months? Your schedule. Do you have any plans of coming to Europe? I mean, what are some of the upcoming things?
Yes, I definitely be in Europe in June.
Hmm.
And this call that just came in, they want me to come in April, so maybe I'll come in April, you know. And as this unfolds, the release of the Havana Story projects, we'll see what comes up with that. And I also want to work on another project of original music. I have gigs, you know, I teach. I run a jazz program in the city,
Okay. Well,
South Center. I've been doing that for 31 years. And it's good. I like it. It's very nice. I don't teach privately there. I teach groups, you know, mostly ensembles, and I run my jazz camps, so I have to prepare for that. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing, you know, and just trying to stay in shape musically, and to play with great people, and to keep it going, you know.
absolutely.
Keep on keeping on. That's what Clark Terry said, you know.
Beautifully put. Man, um, I think we rounded it up really nicely. So, like, no more words needed almost. Like, it's like
Yes.
two choruses of a solo. That was it. No, Ronnie, thanks so much for sharing some of these thoughts,
Thank
man.
you.
Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. It was very
Beautiful
nice to
feedback.
meet you.
You too. If
I
you're
look
gonna be
forward to
around in
seeing you.
Europe, near Austria, I'm in Slovenia. Just drop me a line and we'll get together for lunch or something, or
Okay.
playing,
Okay.
whatever.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
I'll
Ben.
send you a link when this is out. So,
Perfect. I'll
good.
put it up on my socials. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.